Hey everyone, Mr. Macintosh here, and Apple today released the very first update for macOS Tahoe 26.0.1. This is a hotfix that needed to be released before the upcoming 26.1 update. So we're going to go over all that, plus we're going to do the install on our supported Macs, and we're going to talk a little bit about our unsupported Macs with OpenCore Legacy Patcher with 15.7.1 Sequoia and 14.8.1 Sonoma. Plus there's a lot of talk about macOS Tahoe and the design changes and how it's running on current supported systems. So we're going to talk about all the discussion with that and more next. First, let's look at the full Apple update release list. Along with macOS Tahoe, we got macOS Sequoia Security Update 15.7.1, macOS Sonoma 14.8.1, and if you're on macOS Ventura, you're going to have to upgrade to macOS Sonoma or Sequoia or Tahoe to continue to get those security updates because macOS Ventura is no longer supported by Apple. We got Safari 26.0.1, and on the mobile side, we got iPad and iOS 26.0.1. If you can't install 26.0.1 yet, can still get 18.7.1 for the security update. HomePod got 26, watchOS got 26.0.2, and then a special update for the Apple Ultra Watch 3 only, and then tvOS and visionOS. Okay, our demonstration Mac that we are using here for macOS Tahoe is a 2020 M1 13-inch MacBook Pro. We are going to do the upgrade on this, or the update, from 26.0.0 to 26.0.1 to see how the update does, and we will see what happens and how long it takes to, and we'll keep track of that like I kept track of macOS Sequoia in the past. We're also going to run an update through macOS Sequoia too, because I feel like a lot of people are holding back right now and they still want to see some Sequoia action, so we will definitely pull up our macOS Sequoia system here that I got on the side here and run that update alongside there. And you'll have to tell me how you want to roll with this too, because we got a lot of different things going on now with macOS Sequoia, macOS Tahoe, and macOS Tahoe not being supported with our unsupported Macs. So we got a lot of things to talk about. So what we want to do here in our software update is, when we look at the way software update is set up here, make sure that your beta updates are off. Now, a lot of you were testing some beta updates, so make sure you go in here, click this, and click off if you have that and you were testing that. Because if you install now, you might not notice that you're installing 26.1, and that's a beta update. So turn off those beta updates and then you'll see the public release. So we see 26.0.1 on here, and what I've also noticed is that we've got a wide range of sizes for the update. 10 gigabytes for a hotfix. I don't know what the heck's going on here, but we've already got this thing downloaded, and that's why the restart now is selected here. Remember, the other thing is that when we have the automatic updates that we talked about, whether you got to turn them off or not for unsupported Macs, you can also make sure that they're off on your supported Mac if you want to be able to make sure the update's okay first. When we look at the automatic updates here, it says security responses, but that's a little bit misleading, because if we go in here, we have download new updates available already selected. It doesn't tell you that download is on but not install. It just says security responses. So you might think that, oh, I just had this on, but you have to go in here and check this. Now remember what we talked about for our unsupported Macs. If this is on, it's not just downloading and storing it on the system. It's downloading it, preparing it, and then staging it and modifying the system. So that's why you want to make sure this is off if you're on unsupported Macs, for sure. Now if you're on a supported Mac and you want to install the updates, that's fine to leave on because it saves you time. Because what will happen is that it'll download and stage it when you're not even noticing it. So notice how normally we come in here and we click install update and it starts downloading. And then we gotta wait, and then we gotta wait for the preparing to go. But now we gotta restart now. We can just click it off, and in 5 minutes, this thing will be right back up. So that's how you know it's already downloaded and staged, by seeing the restart now button. So if we click on restart now, we'll, wait a minute. Okay, that would be interesting if I can't select that over screen sharing. So this will be new. Hold on a second. So I'm gonna go wide view here. Okay, we're wide view, and you can see that I can't click on restart now over screen sharing. But if I go over to our system over here, let's see if I can do that. Or is it bugged out? No, it's bugged out. Look at that. So let's try to close screen sharing and see if that'll work. Now let's try it. So you can see view disconnected. Let's click cancel and try to connect again. I want to see if that's actually blocking it, because that would be interesting if that's the case. So let's restart. It's rechecking real quick. And now it's got there. So I'm going to connect to it right here. That would be interesting if it blocks that. Now we're connected. Let's click restart now. Look at that. What the heck? Okay, that's a bug, I guess. So we're doing it live. Let's close screen sharing and then click on restart now. And we know we don't have to do that with Sequoia. So that's something going on with Tahoe. So I'll click on restart now. We'll type in our password and enter. Okay, there it goes. Excellent. It was saying installing update, but it usually in Sequoia it said restarting. So that's a little bit weird, but again, that's why we're doing this live. This is an interesting situation that we can talk about while we're waiting for this thing. There's a lot of people that have the unsupported Macs here. I want Tahoe, I want Tahoe. Well, Tahoe is still a little bit of a work in progress. Even for supported Macs here, I would just issue a little bit of caution. All I'm saying is that, and you know if you've watched my videos, this is your system. For some people, this is your only system, and you use this for school, work, or anything that you use your computer for. And the last thing you want to do is rush into installing a large software upgrade. This is an upgrade. Even though Apple says it's like an update, sure, it updates, but this is a major upgrade, 26.0. A full refresh on the operating system with so many different things. So I would urge caution, and I want to know right now in the comments, have you updated your main Mac to macOS Tahoe? Has it gone smooth and everything's working out? I want to hear you. A lot of times we only hear about the people that are complaining, but we never really hear from the people that have upgraded and it's working great. So let me know. Have you installed it and it's slow? It's laggy. Now, one thing I wanted to also mention is Intel devices. Nope, I'm not recommending that at all. Zero. And again, that's not alarmist, but I don't even recommend it at all. I think that they were barely hanging on here. And I think give Apple some time to get Tahoe in order first. At least the major update 26.1. I have heard good news about 26.1. That have installed it in the macOS beta subreddit. They said that it's quicker. The animations are faster. So that's very positive to see. So let's see how that goes before you install, especially for Intel devices. Because those are the guys that I've seen that are struggling the most for users. So we'll see how 26.1, I'm hoping that it works. And if you're asking me what I've done, no way. I've not updated my main machine. I'm waiting. I want to see how things are going. But that's why I installed it on these systems here. Because we want to see this stuff live, like this weird stuff that we just saw here, before we upgrade and update your machine. Let's talk about macOS Sequoia really quick while we're waiting for our Tahoe system. And look, we're almost up here. Let's go back to our Sequoia system and take a quick peek at that, our MacBook Air M1 2020. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the software update window and how it's changed a little bit, and what you have to be careful, especially in macOS Tahoe. We're already back up. Look at these other updates here. You don't want to get tricked into installing macOS Tahoe when you don't want to. And look at this. How in the heck can I upgrade from macOS Sequoia to macOS Tahoe and have it be 7.69 gigabytes, and just the update from 26.0.0 to 26.0.1 was 10? What's going on here? I don't know. It should only be something anywhere between a gig and 2 gigs for an update. Now the upgrade from Sequoia to Tahoe is usually around 4 to 5 gigabytes. So I don't know what the heck's going on. Remember, if you want to get the Sequoia update, be careful. Because even if you click on this button here, look what's defaulted here. So if you go in here and you just want to see and you click or upgrade now, you might think that you're installing Sequoia. Because that's how it used to be. But it's changed. Apple has made the default when you come in here, Tahoe. So you might click this and you're like, oops, you're on Tahoe before you know it. If you click this, you will get it though. I want to make sure that you're not getting confused and then all of a sudden you find yourself on macOS Tahoe. Now, especially on your unsupported Mac, because this is exactly what it's going to show on the unsupported Mac. To get upgraded, all we need to do is click Update Now, and that's how we know we're going to have to download, like I talked about with macOS Tahoe. So click on Agree. When it says Update Now, it's download. When it says Restart Now, that's already downloaded and prepared. And then we can check our updates, our betas are off, and we check our automatic updates and we make sure they're off. And notice how the install application updates from the App Store is gone from this section 2 on macOS Tahoe. So let that go. Let's go back to our macOS Tahoe machine. Software update complete. Your Mac has been updated to macOS Tahoe. Now looks like we got to summarize notifications. We'll set that up later. And it's still in beta mode. And we got our welcome. It started. At least it's not the arrow anymore. Let's go into software update and make sure that we don't have those on. Okay, good. It didn't automatically put that on when we came back in. And our Mac is updated to 26.0.1. If we want to be able to get that build version, we can click on this, 25A362. So now I wanted to talk, before we get into what's new really quick, is what the complaints are about macOS Tahoe. One of the biggest complaints is that the system is slow. The animations are, when I say slow, kind of launching apps, the animations from opening up different windows and stuff like that is slower. The spotlight indexing is a little bit slow too. Some of the radiuses of the windows is off that people don't like. They don't like the glass interface and stuff like that. Those are different. I'm fine with this interface. I don't mind the glass interface and stuff like that. But it's the slowness that would not. Now look at that. You can see that already. Did you see that? Just taking a second to load those icons, that shouldn't happen at all. But I also want to make things clear here that after we install a macOS update, there is maintenance tasks happening in the background that have to be finished, whether it's updating spotlight indexing, maintenance tasks in the background for finishing up some parts of the update. It will be a little bit slow until those maintenance tasks are done. And you can always open up Activity Monitor to kind of monitor that by CPU and see where we're at here. Now you can see that we're already using 38% user and we only got about 75% idle, and we're not even doing anything. So that gives you an idea of something that's happening here on the system. And you can see these compiler services running. Things are happening in the background. Now, by the time we're done here, we should see a pretty high idle time, and that gives you a better idea of when the system, and you can see the load starting to go down here. See that? It was starting high and starting to go down, seeing that some of the system activities in the background are already starting to go down. Now we're about 85% idle. So again, while yes, it shouldn't do that, keep in mind right after an update, give it some time, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and especially with older devices, Intel's, give it a little bit longer. Once that's done, and you can see this start to drop even more, then the system should react. So let's try that again. Let's try to open up our applications and see how that works. There, pretty instant. Let's see if we can scroll down really quick, or scroll up and see if it does the same thing. Okay, that's good. So let's go to desktop, and that loads okay. So now we're already starting to get a little bit quicker here, and we can even open up one of our other drives here. Now you could actually see a little bit of slowness there too, but that's why I got this here too, because it might be a little bit slow on the screen sharing that we're using from the Mac Pro, but you could definitely see even that Safari loaded a little bit slower. Now keep in mind, this is why I'm testing with the M1s. These are the slowest systems with 8 gigabytes of RAM. The slowest systems that you can get for Apple Silicon, and the lowest memory that you can get too. That gives you a little bit of now look at that. Now we're at 90%, 98% idle. And look at that drop off there. That shows you that most of these maintenance tasks now are complete. And now the system should run a lot better without any kind of lagging within applications and showing the different documents and desktops and stuff like that. Let me know how your system acts after that. Is it still lagging after an upgrade? Let me know. And that pretty much covers what people are kind of talking about with macOS Tahoe. And again, this is the very first version and the first hotfix. Don't expect too many changes in this hotfix update, because if you look at the build dates, that's a lot earlier than even 26.1. So this was already in progress because they knew about some of the problems. Here's our what's new and updates for macOS Tahoe. Hey, at least we don't see just important bug fixes and security updates. We actually do get a call out here for upgrading to macOS Tahoe on Mac Studio M3 Ultra 2025. And you can see that was a lot of users that had that machine on that particular processor saying, hey, I can't even update to macOS Tahoe. It was on the Eclectic Light Company, Howard Oakley, Covered that, and it was on Mac Rumors. That's fixed now for 26.0.1. That's not all. There's some security fixes, so let's head on over to the security update page to see that. We go on the security update page and we go to 26.0.1. We see one CVE fix. Impact processing. A maliciously crafted font may lead to an unexpected app termination or corrupt process memory. An out-of-bounds rate issue was addressed with improved bounds checking, CVE 43400. And this was reported by Apple. To me, that's a big enough deal that they reported that. But we do not see the 0 day where this was already known to be exploited out in the wild. So I still rate it as important, but not as important as a 0 day. And there's only one. When we go back to the security update releases page, what I didn't see is Safari. But Safari was updated. So if we go back here and we scroll down to our Safari section, Safari was updated from 11.14 to 11.15. So there is a fix in there, but it's not called out anywhere. But that's why we cover this, because remember, when Apple doesn't talk about these things, we're trying to pick up breadcrumbs to find out what is updated on these systems. We are also not seeing yet. Normally we see maybe a day, sometimes later in the day, or a day or two later, macOS, Sonoma, and Sequoia will get a Safari update. So we haven't seen that yet, and I'll keep an eye on that. And I put that on my Safari page up here. I keep a full database here for Safari. Let's talk about Enterprise, because guess what? There's some changes there. This is why we check these, because this is a first. I rarely, if ever, remembered seeing a hotfix or point release like this, having fixes for Enterprise. So I think this is fantastic. I like seeing this. And if there's something to be fixed and Apple's able to get that into a point release, I'm happy for that, and especially for us in the enterprise when stuff like this needs to be fixed. So the profile editor window and Apple configurator for Mac is correctly displayed. Device management configurations with hardware bound to 8021X identities are now successfully installed in enterprise, schools, and businesses use 8021X for security for networks with Wi-Fi and Ethernet. So those are two good fixes. And again, the enterprise team has come through getting these fixes in there. I love seeing this in there. Now let's take a look at the GeekBench 6 benchmark scores. Before we start this off, I always make sure we got a full battery, we're plugged into power, and our activity monitor is looking good for our idle. We're idling around 96-97%, so that's exactly where we want to be. So we'll quit that and we'll get this started. GeekBench 6 benchmark score is complete. Now we don't have much to go by for this 13-inch, but I was able to go back into our history from last year. And we were on 14.6.1, and we ran a 2397 on a single, 8812 on a multi, and for macOS Tahoe, right on target, 2392 and an 8904. Okay, we're back up on our macOS Sequoia system, our MacBook Air M1 2020, and 15.7.1 is installed, 24G231 is the build version. Let's check our automatic updates, and we are still off, which is good, and we still see macOS Tahoe sitting here. So we don't want to do that for this machine, so that's where you want to keep an eye on this system down here. Everything's running good on this guy. Sequoia is still a good workhorse, and now it is in security update mode, which means that most of all the bug fixes and enhancements or new features are basically done for Sequoia. Unless there's something major that breaks, we're just going to be concentrating on security updates on the Apple side for macOS Sequoia and macOS Sonoma. Okay, for our unsupported Macs using OpenCore Legacy Patcher, we got a couple things to talk about. First of all, for our Kepler devices that have always had trouble in software update, I think I finally got, and we've already talked about using the terminal interface with the software update command to download updates. If you didn't know about the problem trying to get the software updates to show up, we've got a pretty good system down now, and I've got some screenshots so you can see what's going on here. So if you want to be able to update, the idea here is that you want to be able to use the software update space -L or list command, and I'll zoom in here. And what that'll do is that'll probe all the updates that are available for this device on Apple Software Update Server. The only problem is we used to in the past do software update -IR install all restart. You know, automatically restart the system and install all the updates. But guess what? Sometimes we have macOS Tahoe in there hanging out. So if we look at that, sure enough, there's our macOS Tahoe. We don't want that dang thing installed. Heck no. What we need to do is offer just the individual Sonoma or Sequoia update. And the way to do that is once it lists out like this, you copy that first label here, and then you paste it in here. So sudo software update dash install capital R for restart quote macOS Sonoma 14.8.1 dash build version 23J30 end quotes. And I'll make that bigger so we can see here. Is that it'll start to automatically download up to 60%. Once it gets to 60%, it'll stop. It's not stalling. At 60%, it's actually preparing in the update in the background at that point. So you're going to wait anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Then it'll show up in here. It'll actually start working again. And then it'll get to the next part. Then it says it's ready to go down for a restart. But it might get caught with the window open or OpenCore Legacy Patcher open. Just make sure the terminal window, click close, and the system will restart. And all of a sudden you're up on the latest update for Sequoia or Sonoma. That's your Kepler device. Now the other devices we have is our MacBook Pro 17-inch non-metal Mac 2011 running macOS Sequoia 15.7.1. No issues here. We also have our Mac Pro, our main device, running 15.7.1 and no issues whatsoever. And we have our little guy, our 12-inch early 2016 Retina, running great on 15.7.1. And finally, we have our matte display 17-inch MacBook Pro running 14.8.1 and 2.4.1 and 2.4.1. So everything is running very well on these systems. I haven't noticed any kind of issue whatsoever. The only thing that we have to talk about is the status of our KDK and MetalLibSupport package. Now, veteran viewers will know that I talk about these because they're important parts of Sequoia, and we need to have the KDK, the kernel debug kit, and the MetalLibSupport packages for certain models of machines. And I have these links in the description of the video. The problem is we don't have a MetalLibSupport package for Sequoia 15.6.1. And I should have realized this, but I reached out to KDK. I was like, hey, usually the way that it works is the build server will build out the MetalLibSupport package on a check interval. I think it's 6 hours or so. So after the update comes out, it should be ready 6 hours later. And then it's available on the server, and you can get and download the MetalLibSupport package. But look where we're at here, 15.6.1. Where's the 15.7.1 or 15.7? Well, of course I should have realized this because the MetalLibSupport package is built using the IPSW and the files included in there. And unfortunately, Apple has stopped releasing IPSW files for macOS Sequoia. They're done. 15.6.1 was the last release for the IPSW restores. So if you want to be able to get to the latest version of macOS Sequoia with an IPSW for your M1 Apple Silicon Mac, you got to go to 15.6.1 and then update to 15.7.1. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. I wish Apple would just continue to release the IPSW files, but they did. So what does this mean? I'm not sure yet. I just don't know. Will the 15.6.1 be fine now that we're in security update mode? Maybe it will be. We'll have to kind of see how this goes. And we'll see what the developers find. Maybe everything's fine and there's no problems whatsoever. We don't have to worry. But that's why we do not see a MetalLibSupport package now for 15.7 and 15.7.1. So if you're looking for it, that's why you're not going to see it. What it's going to do is if you already have 15.6.1, you're fine. You're going to continue to use that. For the KDK, we did not get a KDK for 15.7.1 yet. And sometimes Apple comes out, sometimes even a week later. Sometimes the next day, sometimes late in the afternoon. So in the releases section, you can see all the releases here. We don't have anything for 15.6.1. And when there is, it's automatically updated here. The latest is 15.6. So we're good. Because remember, it'll go one version lower, so we can go all the way up to 15.7, but once 15.8 comes, then we're going to have a problem if we don't have any kernel debug kits. So 15.7 is fine because it's -1, but 15.7.1 or 2 or 3 is also fine because that's considered a minor release. But once it goes to 15.8, if it does, it might not even hit 15.8. But if it does, that's where the patcher has a built-in protection to say, hey, that seems like too big of a mismatch. We're not going to do that. And that could always change later. But that's why we don't see a kernel debug kit because it's not released for 15.7.1. right now, so we'll have to see where this goes. Well, that was a lot for a minor 26.0 release, right? I tried to get a little bit of our Sequoia in there because I know there's a lot of Sequoia users still out there. Tried to get some OpenCore Legacy Patcher action in there also because I know a lot of people are still on Sonoma and definitely Sequoia. But if you're all the way here to the end of the video, put in 12-inch MacBook. I want to see the VIPs here. I appreciate you guys handling all the way to the end. It's tough making videos now today because of all the AI content and all the competition out there. I try to do all this stuff live, no AI at all. Just me doing the research, putting all the details together for you. And I truly appreciate you. This YouTube channel has surpassed 5 years just this month. I never thought I would be here with all of you watching me today. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here with all your comments, all your emails, all your messages. I am truly humbled by the outpouring of support that you give me. That gives me the power to keep on producing this content. I hope you enjoy the content. I hope it's useful for you. If there's something that you want to see that I'm missing, or I'm going over, I'm going into too much, let me know in the comments. I like that feedback. Constructive feedback is always welcome. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.